And somebody on Instagram, please tell me if you guys can hear me okay. I hope you can hear me okay. I think you can hear me okay. But welcome to another AMA. What does AMA stand for? Ask me anything. These sessions, these live sessions, are supposed to be about anything, really. Like you can ask any question that you like about anything. I've got something weird going on with Facebook, and I will answer them with to the best of my ability in giving advice. So we have a question right out of the gates. ASFprints.com, Joel. You can go to ASFprints.com and you can put an order in there, or you can go to your local printer. But what I found in doing these things, by which I mean these AMAs, is it takes a while, one, when you go live for people to like join and get on and start watching. That's number one. And then number two, um, you got to have some topics. You got to have some topics in place, okay, to discuss such that while you're discussing said topics, the questions arise. So that's the general idea on the AMA. And my topics for today are emotional support, perspective, and Q4 marketing. And so I want to start on emotional support. And we should start by defining what all of you guys are for the most part. 99 out of 100 artists, 99 out of 100 photographers, less so for photographers, but still high percentage. You guys are all solopreneurs. It's just you. It's just you. And maybe you have a significant other helping you in the business, but really at the end of the day, it's just you. And growing a business, come to find out, is an extremely lonely road. It's hard. There's ups and there's downs. It's hard to do when you have a group helping you out and supporting you and more oars in the boat all rowing in one direction. It's hard even then. And what's great when you have a group is when you're feeling down in the depths and you're like, I'm going to hang my hat up. I've been trying so hard to do this. I'm just not getting the results that I want. I'm just going to quit. Sounds like it's just a hobby. You don't have anyone to buck you up. You don't have anyone to buck you up in those scenarios, right? You don't have anyone to say like, "Don't worry, um, don't worry, you're gonna be okay," right? Like everything's gonna work out. This is totally normal to feel absolutely depressed and beaten down and broken because that is the journey of an entrepreneur, and especially so for a solopreneur. Joel, it's ASF as an art store fronts prints.com. ASFprints.com. So as I've been kind of like going through recently, I lost a member on our marketing team, and I've had to dive into a bunch of areas of the business that I had sort of, had other people in place and watching it. And, over the course of the last like 6 months, this has sort of been more and more and more and more apparent to me, right? But if my job as the one that runs the marketing department here at Art Storefronts ultimately is to have successful customers, right? That's my job essentially. Like it is to have successful customers. If we have successful customers at Art Storefronts, we're going to have a business, right? And so if I asked you, how do you best solve the successful customers problem? It's twofold, right? One, you guys all have a marketing problem. Marketing problem's not going away. It's there. It ain't changing. It ain't going away. You guys all have a marketing problem yesterday. You have a marketing problem today. You will have a marketing problem tomorrow. You never solve it. None of you want to work on your marketing. None of you ever work consistently on your marketing in your life. Your natural state is to not work consistently on your marketing. So when you get going, you start doing it consistently and then you feel low, you stop consistently marketing, right? And this is the biggest problem that you guys have without question. Um, but just to teach you marketing is not enough. It's not enough. In fact, I would go as far to say probably the number one way that we ensure that we have successful customers, okay, that we have successful customers whose business is growing year over year, I have to approach it as like a 50-50 solution, right? The solve, okay, is 50-50. It is 50% teach you marketing and get you to market consistently, right? So 50% teach you marketing, get you to market consistently. You know what the other 50% is? Emotional support, emotional support and perspective, such that you don't feel like you're alone on your journey to building a profitable business that takes advantage of your creative talents. That's it. That's the entire ball game. It's staggering. It's staggering to contemplate, but it is true. Like the emotional support piece is just as important as the marketing piece because if you don't solve the emotional support piece, then you're never going to get anywhere. You're never going to get anywhere. You're going to quit. You're going to go back to your normal state, which is not marketing consistently. You're going to go back to your normal state, which is, art doesn't sell online, right? You're going to go back to your normal state that says this is just a hobby. My mom was right. And that's just the nature of the ball game. You have to have such a level of grit and determination to pull this business off and grow it on your own. Like it is such a small number of people that is capable of doing that. Like if you don't have the help, if you don't have the support, this is a tough road to hoe. So it's kind of like, if your primary job right now was just to lose weight, let's say it was just to lose weight, right? Like you can't tackle it just with diet. You have to tackle it with diet and exercise, right? You're never going to lose weight if you don't pull on both of those levers at the same time to the best of your ability. The diet lever, the exercise lever. You've got to be pulling on both, right? And to be successful in this business, to make it as an artist or a photographer, the two are got to be working on the marketing consistently, and you have to have the emotional support to keep you going, right? Because everybody's gas tank runs out of motivation. Everyone's gas tank runs out of positive vibes, if you like. I mean, as woo woo as that is to say, it's true. Like, it happens to absolutely all of us. And unless you have somebody pushing, constantly pushing, um, to help you to make things better, to let you know that the entrepreneurial road is a rocky one, you're gonna quit. You're gonna quit. It is so hard to do it on your own. It is so hard to do it in a vacuum. So I've come to realize pretty much conclusively that it's 50-50. That's what we do. That's what we do. And the diet and exercise thing I just came up on the fly, but doggone it, that is so good. It is so true. So that's the emotional support piece. And I find that I'm going to be talking more and more and more about this in the coming days, weeks, and months, and especially as we're into Q4 now, and Q4 marketing begins and it gets started, right? And the other one I have on my list to talk about, in addition to the Q4 marketing, is the perspective, right? And we live in this just ridiculous society where instant gratification and instant feedback, and everyone follows everyone else's Instagram and sees all these people that are riding around on jets and have luxury cars and are having nice dinners and taking vacations and doing all these things. And instantaneously you look at that, and you look within, right? You look within and you start judging yourself, like, how come I don't have that? How come I haven't achieved that? Achieving all that must be really easy. It must be something that happens in a couple of months. And it's like, that is screwing up people's brains so hardcore. That is wiring people's brains so incorrectly. It's a disaster, in fact. It's an absolute disaster because, especially in this business, okay, the art and or photography business, it takes years. Pretty much any business, to be honest with you, it takes years. But in a lot of other businesses, you're at least getting orders and profit right out of the gates, at least some, right? And it might not be profit in the sense that you're covering your expenses, but if you start like a restaurant, let's just say, probably a terrible example because how many how many restaurants fail, you're at least bringing in revenue right away, right? But early on, for an artist or photographer, like, you're not going to sell a whole heck of a lot that first year, right? And you might not sell a whole heck of a lot that second year. And you know what? Even year 3, the business is still growing and attempting to get off the ground. It's like when you get to years like 4, 5, 6, and 7 is when you truly feel that the wind is at your back, right? And one of like the common posts and refrains that I see is this level of frustration and this level of self-criticism and doubt and demotivation because you've been at this for 3 months and you haven't sold $10,000 worth of art. That is not the real world, okay? I don't care, the market doesn't care, no one cares how long you've been an artist, how long you've been a photographer, how confident you are with your craft, because none of that matters, sadly. None of you have started marketing consistently. Most people, like the majority of our customers are in like year 1, 2, or 3 of consistent and regular marketing. And that first year sucks. And no one tells you that, do they? It sucks. And for most of you guys, because you haven't ever consistently marketed anything in your life and you haven't learned how to capture emails and you haven't learned how to email emails and you haven't learned how to run a sale and you haven't learned how to consistently social market and Facebook and Instagram ads you don't understand and all of the various tenets and facets that compromises like the compromises that encapsulates a comprehensive marketing strategy, that's a lot to learn. That's a really hard bit to learn too, especially the way your guys' creative brains are wired, right? It's not a skill set that most are just naturally good at right out of the gates. So I bring all that up to say, like, when you have the perspective, okay, when you have the perspective of how long it takes, of how long you need to grind, of how long the journey is, you're not going to quit. You're not going to get demotivated. You're not going to get discouraged. You're going to realize that, all of the nonsensical things that you're focusing on are just pulling your focus away from the only thing that matters, which is marketing consistently. It's the only thing that matters. It's the only thing that matters for the first couple of years. And I know it's hard. I know it's really, really hard to do. I know it's really, really frustrating. I know no one wants to do it consistently. But guess what? The one thing that nobody wants to do is always the highest ROI, the highest return on investment. So if you just have the perspective, if you just say, I don't want to be a hobbyist. I want to be a full-time artist. Or I want a side hustle, let's just say. And then you say, I don't want a side hustle anymore. I want this to replace my day job, right? Or, if you're one of the rarefied few that is now a full-time artist, you want to grow that business. You want to double that business. You want to triple that business. You want to 10x that business, and continue and keeping it moving. And if you just have the perspective, if you have the perspective for how long it takes, you're going to better prepare yourself for the journey. You're going to steel your resolve against how hard it is to be an entrepreneur. And it ain't easy to be an entrepreneur. And that's what you essentially are in today's day and age as an artist, as a photographer trying to make it. You're an entrepreneur. And the rules that apply to all entrepreneurs applies to you. And let me tell you, in the grand scheme of things, do you know how much easier it is to be a number three, a number four, a number five, an employee number 50, an employee number 100 at a company? It's just way, way easier. It is way, way easier when you're the number one and you're the one that's at the top and you're the one that's responsible for all the decisions and you're the one that's responsible not just to create the thing, but then to market the thing and then to go out and sell the thing. Do you know how hard that is? That is hard. Like the failure rate is insanely high. And that's just across the board. That's just the nature of this beast. And sadly, you guys are all entrepreneurs. You just are. You just are. And that's the rules of the road in this particular business. So the perspective and the emotional support is just as important as the marketing tactical. It just is. And it's always going to be. And that's never going to change. So I realize, I realize how much more of the emotional support we need to do as a business at Art Storefronts. Like we've been really good with the marketing tactical. We have the best marketing tactical of sell art and photography that exists on the internet. Full stop. It's not even close. A lot of people are trying to copy us, and they're not even close either. So I feel really good about that. I feel confident that given the position that we have in the market where we are now and how many customers we have and how many different people in this company and especially on my marketing team are trying different initiatives and different ways of selling art and different ways of capturing leads, right, and different ways of combining the offline selling with the online selling and how those two work in conjunction with one another. Like we're going to keep the ball moving forward there. What we need to get better at is the emotional support, and what we need to get better at is the perspective and continuing to like pound those things in, because what we do is we like establish at Art Storefronts a lane, right? This is the lane, okay? And we know this is the lane because we've seen the people that are really, really successful stayed in that lane. The problem is everyone's tendency is to get out of that lane, to not stay in the lane, right? To be going down the road in that lane and then all of a sudden veer off, right? And for some, it's shiny objects. And for some, it's just you're discouraged. And for some, they don't understand the perspective. And so it's our job to like, kind of just have like the forklift come down, pick up the car and just put it back on the lane and say, keep moving forward. Because if you just stay in this lane and you have the perspective of how long it's going to take, you're going to make it. You're going to do great. You are going to give yourself the greatest possible chance to have a successful business, to have your art, your photography business mapped to your expectations of what you want it to be. And it's just a profound learning. So how do you put that on a landing page? Emotional support. How do you put that on a landing page? We teach you the perspective, right? Like we support you along every step of the journey so that you don't ever feel like you're alone. And that's really what we're going to start doing. And we've been doing a bunch of it, right? And we have, and there's a ton of customers watching this right now. And, I think in fairness, we've done a good job of it so far because we have office hours, we have the live teaching sessions where you're in there with your peers and with another group and you're asking questions and you're seeing people that are growing in their careers and you're following what they're doing and you're using their wins to motivate you and likewise, right? Um, so I think that's awesome, and to have like a really positive group, right? Like to have a positive group with people that actually know what they're talking about and a no troll policy. My goodness, is that important? My goodness, is that important? That input and that constant, motivation and constant, what's the word that I'm looking for when you're down and picks you up? I don't know, but that constant encouragement and nurturement is critically important, right? Um, but I think it needs to be baked in more so to everything that we do. And I realize that, you know, I'm a marketing guy, right? And to a marketing guy, it's the if you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail, right? Like I think about solving every single solitary problem with more marketing, more marketing, more marketing. And I'm not incorrect in that, right? Like that's the number one thing that your business needs. Where I haven't fully appreciated the complete side of things is the only way that I'm going to get you guys consistently marketing is if we're really, really good at keeping you motivated, supported, and encouraged. If we're really, really good at making you feel like you're not alone in this journey, you will never be alone in this journey, right? Um, I'm a big soccer fan, and there's a soccer club in the UK called Liverpool, and their tagline, their like motto is "You will never walk alone," right? Except I think it's in Latin. Maybe it isn't. They have a song, "You will never walk alone." The whole thing is pretty cool. But anyway, that's what we have to do as a business. Because if we are as effective as a business in making you feel like you're never alone, making you feel like you're constantly supported, picking you up out of the depths when you're in the depths, right? Helping you on the lows, right? And encouraging you on the highs and sharing the highs and showing you more and more stories of people that look just like you, that have a similar talent as yours, growing a significant business that is growing year after year, and hearing their stories about how they were in the exact same place that you were. They were struggling with the exact same problems you were struggling with, right? And that's the lay of the land. It's how it goes. So really encouraged by all that. I think it's going to be an incredible fourth quarter. I realize to get all of you guys marketing, whether you're customers or not, because if you're watching this and you're not a customer, you're still here because you realize you have a marketing problem and you need to fix it, right? So I think being more encouraging, being more energy up, sharing more stories in which people are actually truly making it and being successful and making an incredible run out of it. I think that's the quickest path to get there. That's just the quickest path to get there. Like if you guys feel emotionally supported and we speak to the issues that entrepreneurs have trying to grow these types of businesses, I think we're going to do great. So that's what I got. I think that's a good rant. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you guys all for watching, and I hope all of you guys have a great rest of your day.